Hello everyone, today we'll talk about the problem make the string great. We are given a string consisting of lower and uppercase letters. We want to make this string good, and a good string is one that does not have two adjacent characters, such that one of them is a lowercase and the other uppercase version of the same English character. And now in order to make the string into a good string, we have to perform, maybe many times, an operation of choosing those two adjacent characters that create a bad pair and removing them from the string. If the string is empty, then it's also a good string. And now we have to return the string that we can get after performing all those operations. And we're also told that the answer is guaranteed to be unique. So, for example, for a string like A, capital B, C, capital C, B, this string is bad because of this pair. We get rid of this pair. Now the remaining string is still bad because of this pair. So we have to remove it. And now we're left with just this A here. And it's of course now a correct string. Now what you can notice, especially if you've solved yesterday's problem, is that this is kind of similar to a bracket sequence. And the only difference is that both a pair like this is a correct pair of brackets. So for example, a small a and a big A, but also something like this. So a big one and a small one. But it doesn't really matter to the idea of using a stack to solve this problem. That is essentially all that we need to do. So in essence, we're going to be reading the string one by one and building up the answer by appending letters to the back of it. And when what we have now just appended, or perhaps we're going to append, would create a bad pair, then instead we eat both of those letters and do not put them into our result. So let's see it as an example in code. There are many ways we can do this. So for example, here we have 1, 2, 3 different ways, because essentially the main difference would be how we check if a pair is bad. So in general, the common parts would be creating our string first as a list, popping its back and appending to its back, right? So it's right side, and then returning a string. So we just simply go empty string and join all the letters in our list. And so how can we check that the pair of letters is what makes the string bad? One way to do so is to check that the difference between our current letter and the last letter we have on our stack is the same as, let's say, a difference between a capital and a lowercase a. Because now if you know that in ASCII those letters are full blocks, and so any two ASCII letters, lowercase and uppercase, will differ by the same amount. There's actually a bit more of a, let's say, meaning behind this amount. But if you're interested, you can just read up on the ASCII values. And in a rare case where Python is a bit more verbose than C++, since in general those things are always strings, even one character is a string, you have to use the function ord to get the ordinal value. So what would be the, in essence, ASCII value of this single character. However, it's of course possible to solve this problem not knowing about the ord function, or perhaps not knowing how the ASCII values are structured. And as two example ideas, we'll have still the second and third solution. So one idea you may come up with is if you were to create like a mapping from each letter to a letter that would make a bad pair. So for instance, small a gives us big A, like big A gives us big C gives us small c, etc. Then you can just do the same thing as in the first solution. And you just check if the mapping of one of those characters is the same as the other character. And in this case, of course, if you try to, for instance, first append the character and then pop two characters, that's possible. This can be a while or an if, because there is only one step we can do at any point, right? So there's only one bad pair that will be created by adding one character to our current string, but that doesn't really affect the whole solution. In order to create this mapping, you can, for instance, take the ASCII lowercase and the ASCII uppercase constants that are in the string library. So essentially, you would have to normally write from string import ASCII lowercase, ASCII uppercase, but in this case it's not necessary in LeetCode. And finally, if you don't know about ORD or about ASCII or about ASCII lowercase, ASCII uppercase constants, you can also just check that the two values, so the current character and the last character on the stack, are not the same character. But for instance, when you convert them to lowercase by using, for instance, the string method lower, they are the same thing, because that means that they have to be one lowercase, one uppercase.